We're not doing election videos this time because, as I said, this is a political channel, not an elections channel specifically. Also, there'll be other stuff like religion, philosophy, and sociology. But today we're going to do some a bit more recent politics. For those who didn't know, Britain had its elections around a month ago, with the Labour Party winning in a landslide. And we're going to go through the 5 major political parties in the United Kingdom, to basically describe to you what they're about, and where their voting bases are, what the ideologies are, and their histories, I guess. So the Labour Party, which is the party that is of government, have an epic majority in Parliament. They won the election. The party started in 1900, as you can see here. It was formed by trade unionists and low church Christians, which means that these are Christians but who don't have these elaborate services, more simple services. And these people came together to form the Labour Party, and those are still the major voting base of the Labour Party today amongst ethnic minorities, especially Afro-Caribbean citizens of the UK, and urban areas. That's where Labour Party always gets votes, urban areas essentially. Their political ideology of the Labour Party is social democracy, which is right here, as you can see. If a lot of these terms don't make sense to you, then if I can simplify, basically means that they believe that the state should intervene to make society better and help people who are less fortunate and underprivileged, but they don't go to full socialist economics like full nationalization of industries, and they definitely don't go to communists who want to abolish private property. These are people who believe that social welfare can coexist with the Western capitalist economic system. And their leader is Keir Starmer, who is leader of the Labour Party and is now our Prime Minister. The next party is the Conservative and Unionist Party, also nicknamed the Tories. They started out in 1834. I mean, the Tory party has had many switches over times. 1700s, they began as the Tories. 1830s, the Conservatives. 1912, the Conservative and Unionist Party. They don't really. So, what the Conservative Party stands for? The Conservative Party has 3 major factions. There's the One Nation faction, which believes in, conservative principles. Conserving the society's values and principles, and institutions like the monarchy, but they believe that the state should intervene to help the less fortunate, underprivileged, marginalized people, not only because it's morally right, but also so that working people don't go to radical ideas like socialism or fascism and overthrow Britain's historic institutions that have been developed and evolving for the past couple centuries. Then you get to the Thatcherites, which are the main group of the Tory party. Thatcherites, or globally called neocons, neoconservatives, believe that the best way to do conservatism is through low taxes, small government, deregulation, let the markets be free. But they do believe that the state should be involved at least to preserve those institutions and values, okay? But they're just not as interventionist in the economy as One Nation conservatives. Then there is the traditionalist conservatives, or in some parts of the world, right-wing populists, for those who pursue politics rhetorically in a more divisive fashion, you could say. And basically, they have the same ideas as One Nation conservatives and Thatcherites. It's just that they believe. Well, let's see. Let's let Wikipedia explain it. The concepts of nation, culture, custom, convention, tradition are heavily emphasized. I don't know how else. Basically, think of like Donald Trump. Think of Viktor Orban. No. Yeah, Victor Orban, Jair Bolsonaro. These are the traditionalist conservatives, right-wing populists who are very reactionary. Yeah, that's the thing. That's what differentiates them from the rest of the parties. That they're reactionary. They are very, very. Obviously, all conservatives don't like change because they like keeping things as they are. But the traditionalist conservatives, traditionalist rights, the populists are very, very, very scared of change and see it not just as something that shouldn't be promoted, but as a threat. And those are the three factors of the Tory parties. And the Tories, they're mostly Anglicans, specifically low church Anglicans, so the Anglicans who have more in common with Calvinists than with Roman Catholics. Uh, you'll mostly find them upper middle class people vote for them. White and Indian Brits. Indian Brits actually vote Tory more than white Brits, I believe. I'm not sure, but I know that Indian Brits are definitely high up there when it comes to voting Tory compared to other ethnic minorities. And you'll mostly find them in the suburbs. Rural areas, historically, a lot of them in rural areas, but recently, rural people have left the Tory party, and so the Tory party is today mostly a suburban party of the suburbs. Why? Well, if you watch my 1950 election video, then you would know that people of the suburbs were angry with the Labour Party's intervention on rations, but mostly it's thanks to Margaret Thatcher. Margaret Thatcher did this famous policy of letting working class people buy their own homes, which for them was a ticket to the middle class. And those middle class people in the suburbs really believe that if it wasn't for the Tory party, they wouldn't be at the successful economic position that they are. So they credit the Tories of that. They thank them for that, and that's why they usually vote Conservative. Now, as I just said, the rural areas have stopped voting Tory. Who have they gone to? The Liberal Democrats. The Liberal Democrats are social liberals, meaning that let's see what social liberalism is all about. It also social justice, so justice in relation to wealth, opportunity, and privilege in society, a mixed economy, an expansion of civil rights and civil liberties. All about civil liberty, the individual. But mainly difference between it and Labour is that Labour advocates heavy state intervention, while the Liberal Democrats advocate state intervention but with heavy respect for the rights of the individual. Liberal Democrats, as I said, rural areas. That's usually where you find those voters, especially recently, because farmers and rural people have suffered a lot since we left the European Union. Liberal Democrats usually attract middle class voters, specific and white people, but white people among the Celts, not amongst. Obviously, look at the map today. Here, right here. There's their leader, Sir Ed Davey. He's leader of the Liberal Democrats. Right here. English people. But historically, the Liberal Democrats usually get the votes of Celtic people, so like the Welsh, the Scottish. I'm trying to go back. Okay, fine. Like here, like Scotland, like it's called the there's a certain term for it. I forgot what it's called. The Celtic liberal. There was a term for it, I remember. I'm sorry, but that's where the Liberal Democrats usually get their voting base from. Yeah, here, Cornwall, Wales, Scotland, and they're all rural as well. They're all rural places. Cornwall's very rural. Wales is pretty rural, and northern Scotland is very rural and mountainous, basically. And that's where Liberal Democrats usually get their voting base from. Religiously, Anglicans, but mostly high church Anglicans. Anglicans have more in common with Roman Catholics than compared to Calvinists, and nonconformist Protestants like Methodists, Baptists. Those are the Liberal Democrats. The Liberal Democrats was historically seen as the party that was anti-Tory. If you go back to their when they used to be called the Liberals, here. Yeah, here, look at this. They used to be the main opposition to Tories, and All the low church Anglicans are in the blue, and all the high church Anglicans and nonconformists are here. But then, when the 20th century came along, the nonconformists, as I had mentioned previously, left for Labour, and over time the Liberal Democrats have just been squeezed. But it seems like they're rebounding since the 2024 election. Let's see where they go. The next party, probably the most controversial party, Reform UK. Reform UK was formed by Nigel Farage, the leader of the party, in 2019, and they're right-wing populists. So like these lot right here in the Conservative Party, they basically are cut from the same cloth, but decide to choose different parties to represent them. And what are their values? I would explain what their values are, but like, where would you find them? Well, you'll mostly find them along the East Coast. Like literally, like if I go to the old map, which we just saw here, as you can see, right here. Apart from Ashfield, here, there. East Coast. For some reason, the East Coast really likes Reform UK. They're very attracted to right-wing populists. These places along the UK are mostly full of white working class people, but elderly as well, very elderly people. So there's a little bit different demographics to the Tories, but essentially Reform UK is filled with people who have been dissatisfied with the Conservatives since 2019. Last party, the Green Party. The Green Party has their roots amongst, it's green. So amongst environmentalists, they're very much about the planet, and it's not like Labour or the Liberal Democrats or some parts of the Tory party who want a pragmatic approach to solving the climate crisis. The Greens have a very radical approach. For example, they don't approve of using nuclear energy, and they usually block solar panels from being built because they don't like people making profit of it. Yes, the Green Party officially describe themselves as progressives, but really they are eco-socialists. They don't really like a capitalist solution to the climate crisis, which the other parties are open to. The Green Party's their voter base is amongst dissatisfied Labour voters who disapprove of Sir Keir's leadership of Labour. There's also city centres. If you go to the city centres in Oxford, London, Bristol, Brighton, you will find Greens. These are the Greens safe spaces, essentially, if you'd like to use that term. University students mostly vote Green compared to other social classes, social groups. And the youth, obviously the youth are very concerned about the climate, and so they would vote Green. But obviously the youth are much more progressive than older people. So that's why those are the Green Party's main voting base. The Green Party is although their main voter base amongst city centre youths, they do have one seat, which is not that, Waveney Valley, which is in Suffolk, mostly in Suffolk, which is very rural, and these people, I guess, care a lot about the environment. These are Tories who care about the environment a lot. I think that the current Conservative Party doesn't care much about the environment, so they voted Green in the last election. Obviously, the Tory Party right now is holding a leadership election, so don't worry, I will be making a couple of videos on how that goes under. And I don't know what video I'm going to do next, but whatever comes next, hopefully you guys will stay tuned for that. It's the Big B, and he is out.